Michael Van Runkle here for HotCars.com. I'm out at Willow Springs with Freedom Street Garage because they're doing a giveaway of these two muscle cars. We've got a lightly modified Dodge Challenger Hellcat wide body and a Chevy Camaro ZL1. They've brought us out here because they want to show what these cars can do, so whoever wins their sweepstakes can know what they're going home with. I've got a lot of experience driving a Challenger Hellcat wide body at Radford Racing School, but I've never driven a Camaro ZL1, and I've never driven here on the big track at Willow Springs. So I'm gonna climb behind the wheel and do some hot laps, but first, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. Thanks. So first up, we're here in the Hellcat. This is a Challenger wide body. I've got a good amount of experience with a car like this, but this is a whole new track, and we know that this is a heavy car. So I'm not gonna be pushing it too hard, especially on this first lap. Oh, but we know it sounds good. You've got the supercharger whine and the big V8. What's impressive about these cars is that they've managed to make them pretty good on the track for what they are. Basically a big old boat, classic American muscle, but they can hold their own. And that's sort of why Freedom Street Garage is doing this. They want to be able to celebrate the end of this muscle car era before Dodge goes all e-muscle, which for some reason just doesn't sound as fun to really anyone. There we go. Oh, you can hear it sounding so good. This track is just so much elevation change, and it's hard to get a good line of sight because you can't see around the hills and the bends. So I can't see where the apex is as I'm going into the corner. And really taking it easy here, just learning. And then we're going down a big canyon here. This is where I think I see a lot of tire marks going off the track. Getting used to it here. Now people who are going full gas here are probably hitting like 145 miles an hour, not lifting around the corners at all. But they're trying to give this car away, so I really can't crash it because they're not going to be able to fix it before the sweepstakes comes to an end. Still, you can see I'm bouncing around a little bit. Streets of Willow nearby was paved recently. This one is a little bit more of a rougher circuit, and all that elevation change is just really wild for the mind to comprehend. Here we come back around start finish. Ooh, pushing 140. I'm braking early. Again, don't want to kill this car. And then find apex, come out wide. And you can't hit it too hard because they've made some nice modifications to this car. None of them too insane. It's got a Corsa carbon fiber air intake, which helps with the little bit of whine, I would imagine. It's got a full Corsa exhaust system, and they've put it down on Eibach lowering springs, which is probably helping to keep that center of gravity a little bit more tame as I'm coming in to some of these harder corners. Oh, we just hit a real big bug. We're out here in the desert. There is wildlife. We heard a little bit about a bird strike earlier, maybe. That's not in this car, for those of you thinking about buying tickets. This car did not hit a bird. But you gotta be careful in this car, keeping your eyes up and being very gentle with the throttle because you will get a little tail happy. This would have been 717 horsepower new, but they think now it's doing more like 740 at the crank because they put it on a dyno and factoring in driveline losses with the intake and exhaust. That seems to make sense to me. What a fun car. I mean, it's taking me right back to Radford Racing School, but that was a much more tight technical track. This is like a wide open, high speed roller, and it's not what I'm the very best at. So I'm taking it a little easy, but once we come around this last corner and open it up towards apex, it's fast. It's got that sort of gut punch that you love about muscle cars. Now, electric cars definitely do that better, and we all know that the electric age results in crazy straight line acceleration. And some electric cars manage to handle on the track pretty well too. But is Dodge going to be able to nail that with an E-muscle concept car? It's kind of weird. You would have expected Dodge to hold on to the supercharged V8 as long as humanly possible. They're the company that has all these really aggressive commercials with drifting and donuts and as much V8 rumble as you can get, and yet they're sort of the first to really give up on gas engines and go, okay, we're going full electric. Of the legacy OEMs, that is. Maybe they think that if they do it first, they can set a new standard, but will Dodge's fans sort of go with them or decide, hey, maybe I need a Ford, or maybe I need to enter a sweepstakes to get a nice 2022 Dodge Challenger? It's gonna be an interesting one to watch, but in the meantime, you just gotta love the American V8. Woohoo, it got a little slip and slide there. The tires are probably getting a little bit warmer. Here we are on the straight again. That's 130. So I'm not doing quite as well as the guy in his Porsche GT3 Cup car, but we gotta remember we're on street tires here. Any time on the track is a good time to learn, to work on your vision, to work on your throttle modulation and your car placement. It's all about tire placement and feeling the outside edges and the inside edges, finding apex, and then hitting it. That's it here in the Challenger. Now let's go check out that ZL1 Camaro, because I think that's a little bit more even of a dedicated track tool. So here we are in the Camaro. I've literally never driven a Camaro of any kind, ZL1 or 1969. I'm really curious because this thing is known to just be a total scalpel, but it's still got that American muscle car supercharged V8 thing going on, which is pretty sweet. So let's see how it does here on the same track. And this one is part of a sweepstakes that ends even earlier, so I extra specially can't mess this guy up. Right away, just a much tighter car. The steering is a lot more firm and precise. It just feels a lot lighter. Again, doing a little warm-up lap here. Now this car is bone stock. Freedom Street Garage didn't think that any modification you could make to the ZL1 is even really worth it, because you're starting to talk about warranty coverage. They do add an extended warranty, an aftermarket extended warranty for the Hellcat that you can win, but this one retains its Chevrolet warranty, which is always, we think, a better thing, and that's really what I recommend to everyone who asks me what kind of car they should buy. I say just go buy whatever you like and get the best warranty you possibly can. So this car's got 650 horsepower and it weighs a fair amount less than the Hellcat, and it's definitely much more of a track car. There are advantages to driving a big heavy car on the track because it exposes all of your weaknesses immediately. And this one's still got plenty of power when you open it up. It's got a 10-speed automatic where the Hellcat has that ZF 8-speed, and it seems to shift a little bit snappier, and the paddle shifters are a little bit more precise. The interesting part is we're in track mode here in this Camaro, so it's allowing us to rev up higher, whereas in the Hellcat, it was definitely short shifting because I was not pushing full gas all the time. It's still got some supercharger whine, but we definitely love the Corsa exhaust and intake on the Hellcat. Then again, your neighbors will not love that. This car though, I can see why people buy this as a track toy. It's a lot more fun and a little bit more engaging. Wow. I feel like we're pulling twice as many G's, and that's probably not true, but just the sensation here coming around this long sweeper is we're really glued to the track, as opposed to with the Dodge where you're sort of floating across it. Whether this thing can keep up in a straight line, I've heard it's actually faster in a drag race, probably because it just weighs less. But when you actually open it up and you're going 100, 130 miles an hour, the Dodge's 740 horsepower might prove supreme. This thing, on the other hand, when you touch the brakes, it starts to slow down a lot faster. That's the advantage of power to weight. It doesn't just come down to power and weight. It's weight while braking, accelerating, and cornering. This thing is pretty sweet, I would say. We got up to 120 there. You can almost feel like it has a little bit of downforce. It's got that aero package, splitter diffuser thing going on, but that might also just be that I'm getting out of a big, heavy Dodge Hellcat, and this just feels like more of a sports car to me. I've been driving a lot of mid-engine cars on the track these days, and this is not a mid-engine car, but the big V8 is mounted sort of in the middle in your classic arrangement of a front-engine car, so the balance is pretty good. And the brakes are pretty good, and the turn-in is pretty good. I mean, I'm consistently impressed by what Chevy's up to these days. Now, the question is, are these things absolutely impossible to get your hands on? And the answer is everything is absolutely impossible to get your hands on. So, it's fun to be able to enter the increasingly popular sweepstakes format, where some money goes to supporting veterans, but to a certain extent, you're just buying it because you want to get into an awesome car. And Freedom Street Garage offers a membership. They've got plenty of swag. You can enter to get tickets for the sweepstakes in many different ways and try to get your hands on this Camaro. And as somebody who drives a lot of cars, I kind of support the whole way that companies are doing this. I think Omaze sort of stood out for me as the first one that I was noticing regularly. And it's a fun little structure that everyone's doing. Sweepstakes, giveaways, raffles. It's a good way to sort of crowdsource income, raise money for good causes, or, as the Porsche Club of America does, raise money for themselves. I think BMW's been doing that for a while too. But man, getting a little bit more used to this track here at Willow Springs, getting a little bit more used to this Camaro, I'm enjoying it thoroughly. I hope you guys learned a little bit about these two cars watching me, sort of the big brute power of that Hellcat, and a little bit more of a composed scalpel here in the Camaro ZL1. Obviously, you can go on Freedom Street Garage. I'm not here to sell cars or sell tickets. I'm just here having fun, so thank you for watching, and big thank you to Freedom Street Garage for having me out to Willow Springs here today. As always, before you sign off, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out.